Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Mayor Jerry Cook. Today we're talking about both the December 5th and our December 19th City Council meetings. Thanks for coming back.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. We're actually in the final moments of fall, if you didn't know. Winter starts officially tonight. We're taping this.
Oh, yeah.
On Thursday, December 21st. Although it's felt a lot more like fall and even summer in some respects.
40s every day. It's incredible.
Yeah, and for Christmas coming up, they're predicting that. It's just...
Yeah. When I was a kid, I would have been very sad without snow on Christmas, but I'm okay with it.
As an adult, you're good. You know, the snowplows don't have to come out as early, things are good here. The only thing is a delay in our ice rinks opening and some of that.
Yeah.
You'll have to kind of stay tuned on that because we'll see. But we did get a little bit of snow just in time for the tree lighting festival earlier this month.
Right. Saturday, December 9th, we had that was our third annual tree lighting, and it was spectacular. And it snowed in the morning. It snowed during the day, so we had snow on the ground for the event. And it was just magical. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a beautiful tree, gorgeous tree. And oh my gosh, I should have remembered the couple that donated the tree. But it's beautiful, like about a 25 or so foot pine, thousands of lights. All the bonfires out there, the Raven Street Project choir sang on the show trailer. It was beautiful. It was just a Hallmark set.
Yes.
And it's great.
A little cold out here, but I didn't actually get to it. I've been to the last two, but I had a little day off.
Yeah, it was the coldest day of the winter, I think.
Of course, it was, literally, because had you had it the day or two before, it would actually been pretty dang warm.
Oh, yeah, it would have been like 40 or 50, yeah.
Go figure. But it kind of set the scene for the whole lighting.
Well, and it did. Plus, we were a little concerned because if it got over 20 miles an hour, we couldn't do the fireworks.
Oh, okay.
And Jake put together a spectacular fireworks show for us. And it was hovering like 18, 19 miles an hour, and it was like, all right, go.
Yeah, do it now before it gets windy.
Yeah, but it was spectacular. It was we counted down, the tree lit up, about a 2-second delay. It was like 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I did see that.
And then the tree lit up, the fireworks started, and then the choir went right into a great Christmas song, and it was just wonderful.
All right. Well, if you missed it, you can check it out on the city's Facebook page. I know the video is there. So
absolutely
pretty cool. That's the third year in a row for that, and I imagine it'll be back again next year.
Yep. And I want to thank Tiffany Fick for all of the work she did chairing that. She's been kind of the go-to for almost any event we've got here,
right.
And so she did a great job on it. And there was a whole list of people to thank, but I'm not going to go any further because.
Yes, the Community Strength Foundation helps put that on, right?
Yep, Community Strength Foundation, and then there's several sponsors that help sponsor it as well.
All right, well, looking forward to it again next year. All right, let's jump into business here. We're going to start off talking about our Tuesday, December 19th meeting. One of the first item there, again, we had a police department ceremony. Feels like we have a lot of those lately. But this was actually a promotional ceremony, not just new officers.
Right, this was promotional, which means the council chambers are filled, which is always fun to see. It's when they're not holding pitchforks and torches.
Right.
They're all happy to be there.
Yes.
And the first one was Dan Durrett, which was kind of special for me because I swore him in as a police officer in 2016, and then I did the Citizens Academy with the police department, which included a ride along, and that was who I rode along with for 4 hours in a squad car.
Yes.
So then for him to get the promotion to sergeant and be able to swear him in on that, let's just see how he's grown in over those 7 years. And his dad pinned him, who was a Maple Grove police officer in 2016. Now he was pinned by his wife, and his kids were there, and it was just it was a very nice event.
Yes.
So that was fun. And then Adam Jacobson, who we just swore in as a captain not all that long ago, we swore him in as a deputy chief. And Adam's a great guy, and he's been around for, I don't recall how many years he's been here, but I recall that anytime we had something going on, I would say, who do I need to talk to? And it would almost always be Adam. Yeah, it's like, oh, Adam. Oh, he does that too?
Yeah. Yes. So he's been a good guy, and he's done a lot in the time he's been around, I think, and
Yeah.
he's certainly made an impression, and obviously why he's being promoted to deputy chief. So great to have him too. His partner was here and pinned on his badge as well.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a very nice ceremony. And then when we got all done, we had nobody left.
That's usually how it goes.
Usually how it goes. Yep.
All right. Well, congratulations to those two men. Moving forward, Council approved the 2024 SCORE recycling and non-resident use agreements with Anoka County. We always talk about our recycling center being a very busy place. It's had some nice improvements in the last year, and this is funding for that, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's where our funding comes from. Is Anoka County. Anoka County gets over $1 million for recycling, and a good portion of that percentage of it goes to Coon Rapids because of our recycling center. And we're starting to track now where everybody's coming from, because we realized that our recycling centers are very popular not only with Coon Rapids residents, but other Anoka County residents. So we're starting to keep track of that, because as other Anoka County residents use that, that'll increase our funding from the county. Okay. So I don't recall what the amount was they gave us, but there's a potential that we'll get additional funding from them as we track where the folks are from.
All right.
Checking your sports page?
I'm checking. This is the newsletter, hot off the press. I'm going to talk about. But you made me think of the recycling center. There are two new things that are going to start this year: the reuse room they're starting, and also this odds and ends trailer where they're going to accept a number of harder to recycle packaging items. So always seems like they're doing something new there. So look for more details on that this coming year.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we just added last year the paint recycling.
Yeah.
And that's really handy, because otherwise you had to wait for Wednesday to bring it over to the hazardous site in Blaine.
Yes.
We don't take any hazardous materials, but we do take paint now at the recycling center.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You can find more on the city's website, of course, under recycling. It tells you all the things that are accepted. It's quite a lot compared to even what you can obviously recycle in your curbside recycling bin.
It really is. Yeah.
All right. Moving forward, Council adopted a resolution accepting business sponsorships and donations. We also always like to see this. And there's quite a few people that have donated to various events that have happened here in the city over the past year, right?
We do. Yeah, and any donations have to be, accepted by the council as an official action. Yeah. And I just wanted to highlight, because we really do appreciate that they're sponsoring the event, sponsoring the city. Mm-hmm. The Coon Rapids Senior Center, there was some anonymous donations to the senior newsletter and programs, but to the tune of like $3,400. Yes. The Super Senior Club Volunteer Party, Friends of Fridley Mindor, I don't know what that is. Minnesota Department of, maybe, I don't know.
I think that would be revenue, but I
don't know. Tuesday AA, Bob and Linda Fredrickson, anonymous donation, and the AA Back to Basics. The Farmers Market had donations from Elfie Home Care, Movie in the Park from the Community Strength Foundation. Rec on the Spot received donations from Moms on the Run and Charitable Minnesota. Our Night to Unite, which is always very popular in August. Yeah. Coon Rapids Crime Prevention Association, Alloy Brewing, Coon Rapids Fire Community Fund, Coon Rapids Police Association, North Star Towing, and Costco, Vending Minnesota, Dick's Sporting Goods, Texas Roadhouse, Raising Cane's, XL Energy, Connexus Energy, Chanticleer Pizza, Rebel Sports, and then Coon Rapids Love My Pet Fair. September, really well-attended event, really a big thing now. Coon Rapids Community Strength Foundation, Grand Slam, Stone Mountain Pet Lodge, Nothing Bundt Cakes, Jimmy John's Coon Rapids, Home Depot, Broadway Pizza, Cub Foods, Chuck and Don's, and Nutrisource Pet Foods. And we just want to thank all of them for their contribution to the city and supporting these events.
Yeah, obviously they couldn't be done without these generous sponsors.
Nope, or they could, but it would be a lot less of an event.
We might be knocking on doors to raise money then. So,
yeah.
thanks to all of those donations. Nice. All right, moving forward, Council approved a joint powers agreement with Anoka County for intersection improvements. This is at Evergreen Boulevard and 85th Avenue, also for lighting, landscaping, water service improvements with the city of Fridley. So 2 separate joint powers agreement. This is one project, and it's basically going to add a roundabout at this location.
Yeah, this will be our first roundabout in town, and they've really slow walked this. They've really worked with the businesses down there. When you've got multiple municipalities and the county all involved, there's just been a lot of work and thought going into this to make sure it's going to work for everyone. It's going to be a roundabout, which is tricky for big trucks. So it's designed for the trucks so you can drag the trailers around them. And it should make 85th safer, and it should make it easier for them to get out of the industrial park down there.
Okay. And
so we partner with Anoka County on the roundabout itself. We partnered with the city of Fridley on it. So the city of Fridley is going to do all the landscaping, the hardscaping, and they're going to maintain it, and we're going to do the lights and cover the street lights for it. But it should be very nice.
Okay, and I believe construction is going to start this year. So
24. Yeah. I thought it was summer of 24, and it should be finished at the end of 24. I thought.
Yeah, I believe so. That's the thing. All right, so look forward to that. And they said it's right near is it right at the the entrance to the Springbrook Nature Center?
That was what they said. I didn't. In my brain, I wasn't thinking that it lined up right with the
but it's at least
but it probably
close.
does.
Okay. Well, once it's done, we'll drive it and we'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Council approved a feasibility report and ordered a public hearing and assessment hearing for street reconstruction. Already time to start talking street reconstruction for 2024.
Right. Yeah, that always has to start really early because there's lots of open houses for the residents. There's lots of time for people to speak to engineering, speak to us if they're opposed to this or anything.
Yep.
But the majority of this, it's 2.9 miles. The majority of it is going to be the Woodcrest development from like 99th up to Woodcrest Park, and I don't remember what the west boundary is, probably Olive or something, or a little west of that, over to Woodcrest Drive. It's all over by Shore Place Theater over there.
Okay, and I think there's another segment by the post office.
And then there's a segment on 102nd and Goldenrod around behind the post office. And then there's one more little segment. It was like 97th and Avocet or something.
I can find it for you.
Yeah, I don't.
That's in the newsletter too.
Yeah, there was one little other orphan street in there.
90th Avenue east from East River Road and including Norway Street. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Well, apparently.
That's the one. The post office is,
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. On the north side of East River Road. Norway Street is just a little. It's got a cul-de-sac on both ends.
Okay.
And that one street there.
All right. Well, if you don't understand any of these streets we're talking about, it's probably not your house. But if so, you will have been notified. There has been open houses already. There will be another one in January as well, and then you'll come back and eventually adopt the assessments for these projects.
Absolutely. If you're impacted by this, you would have received a card in the mail, letting you know when to show up for the open house, when to show up for the public hearing.
Right. Yeah. Because then eventually there'll be the assessment hearing, and I think it was around $2,400 is what
$2,377 or something
is our rate this year.
Yeah,
and that can either be paid all at once or added to your property taxes over 10 years with interest.
It's really slick. I mean, it's less than $2,400, and if you don't do anything, it just goes over to onto your property taxes over 10 years. And I thought Mr. Hansen said it was like $317 a year or something added to your property taxes.
Yeah.
And in Woodcrest, it's going to be a major project. I mean, it's going to be new water mains, new curbs, everything.
Okay.
So,
all right. We will look forward to that. Council also approved a resolution accepting plans and specifications for the 2024 well rehabilitation program and authorizing solicitation of bids. Not super exciting, but we thought we'd mention it because, these are the things you don't necessarily see, but that's good because they're working. You don't want to know when they're not, right?
You don't have a choice who you buy your water from.
Right.
But you want, when you turn that tap on, you want good, clear water. You want good, drinkable water. And so to that end, every year I don't remember how many wells we've got, but every year we've got certain numbers of wells that are inspected, that are rehabilitated, whatever they need, they're updated. So it's important.
All right, so just continuing doing that program, keeping them in good condition. All right, the other item we had to talk about is the resolution approving the labor agreement with our police officers. This is something that has been in negotiations this year, and they do have an agreement now for 24 and 25.
Which I think is the first time since I've been on the council that it's ahead of time.
Okay.
Usually they're negotiating them until well after the contract should have started, and then by the time you settle it, then everybody gets back pay.
Yes.
And in this case, it's been resolved, and we're heading into the next 2-year cycle, and they've got a contract in place, and it built in some generous additional pay for particularly new officers, trying to help the recruitment process.
Yes, they call them market rate adjustments.
Market rate adjustment, yeah, yeah. Plus it includes a good COLA, I think of 3.5% or something, and it increased their annual uniform allowance up to $1,000. Yeah. I think there's lots of things for them to buy to maintain their uniforms.
Yeah, they carry a lot of stuff on there.
They carry a lot of stuff. Plus, I don't know how long their Kevlar vest lasts, and those are expensive. And so, yeah.
All right, and it's been a competition. I mean, a lot of the police agencies are in negotiations and recruiting, like you're saying, retention. They're having to make these market adjustments because everybody needs police officers.
Well, and they mentioned it used to be if you had a few spots open, you would get a couple hundred applicants. Yeah. It would be a lot to cull through to try and find the best applicants. And now I think they had three positions open and they got 10 applications. Yeah. It's like, okay, well maybe we'll find one.
Yeah, because yes, they still have to test and do all that stuff, pass their field training,
and you still want the absolute best.
Right.
So to be competitive, we have to offer them a great place to work, a great work environment, and competitive pay.
Yeah. All right. Moving forward, that's actually our last item that we wanted to talk about there on our last meeting of the year. We'll jump back to our second of the last meeting, which happened on Tuesday, December 5th. We want to talk about seeing we're on the theme of donations today a little bit. We had a big donation of $20,000, and we've actually seen this donation before.
we have annually, and I remember at the meeting I had kind of looked back. And they used to contribute to the police department for canine things, like $1,500 for this and that, and it's from I think it was the Cost Foundation.
Yeah. Yep.
And now it's $20,000 a year for the fire department, and it's spectacular.
It's crazy, yes. And I think this one, the city manager said didn't have to. It could go to either. There wasn't a specification on it for this time around, but certainly $20,000 is a big donation. So.
Yeah, I mean, in the past it was dedicated to like the what's the scuba, SCBA,
SCBA.
That tanks. But they say it, when they say it anyway.
Oh.
But yeah, this year they'll figure out, and they've always got things that make them better that they use for training or for something. And especially this year, moving into the new fire station, I am sure there are other training tools they can use.
Yeah, there's always things they need, and then it's stuff that doesn't have to be put on in the general fund budget because you have these generous donations. So.
Yep. And they sponsor municipalities all around, and it's a great group.
All right. Council held a public hearing. This was the Truth in Taxation hearing and adopted the 2024 budget and tax levy. Obviously, something that has to be done at the end of every year.
Yeah, and the notices went out to every taxpayer in town, every property taxpayer anyway, and gave them the opportunity to come in and address us on if they thought we were being responsible with the budget or not. And nobody did. And I think part of that was aided by the county providing that spreadsheet in that tax statement that said Coon Rapids is at 6.8% for an adjustment or for an increase, and everybody else, I mean, we were kind of in the middle of the pack, but there were some spectacular increases in there.
Yeah.
So we worked hard to get it to 6.8, and that seemed to be a very responsible number, and nobody came.
Well, and the county had a spectacular increase of their own, which was originally proposed about 15%. They did drop that to about 10% when they adopted their final budget in December. But it's hard. I mean, cost of living is the thing. Obviously your budget is made up mostly of people. You're talking, about 80% of the budget is personnel?
Yeah,
costs.
yeah, and when you've got 3.5% bumps in COLA,
Yeah.
that's a significant run. And in fact, what it caused us to do is when we got our proposed property tax statement, then it was like, oh, okay, our taxes went up about $800 next year. So our mortgage company isn't going to know that till they get the tax bill. So I'm just going to divide that out. And in January, we're going to send in extra principal so that we get ahead on our escrow account. Otherwise, you're going to end up doubling it up after that.
That is the whole thing. I always forget I had escrowed at one time. I just pay mine now, not escrow, but they make those adjustments. And sometimes people do get a big surprise there that they're not expecting because they estimate those out and all of that.
I still... we do the voluntary, we could pay our own. I kind of like that. Just every month, here's some money, and then you make the big checks.
It's one less bill to have to remember, right? All right. Well, if you want to learn any more about the budget, the full budget document. There's a budget in brief that sort of outlines different things for this year on the city's website, coonrapidsmn.gov.
That budget in brief is a great thing, great tool that the city manager's office or the finance department puts together, and it really gives you an idea of where the money's going. And it's really good.
All right. Council adopted an ordinance establishing a fee for beekeeping. This is actually something that was approved in November, the actual allowing of beekeeping, and now we have to have a permit fee for it, correct?
Right. Well, because there's staff time involved. They have to review the site. They have to make sure that everything is how it needs to be. So they figured it would be about the same amount of work that chickens were. So each one is, I think, $115, or I think was the fee on that.
Yeah, not too spendy, but we did have a test basically of two sort of professional. I think they are professional beekeepers. That tested this process and worked out good. So now they're expanding it to people that want to do this in their own backyards.
A lot of things, I always call it the speed of government. Everything takes a while to get through government. And this is one that intentionally was slow walked to make sure that let's see if there's any fallout from this.
Right.
And it just seems like it's a good plan. And I think we have a very responsible ordinance. And people aren't going to step up and do this willy-nilly. It's going to be people that are very serious about this. It's kind of like the chickens. If they're not taking it seriously and they have chickens, they probably don't have a permit. So we want to make sure that we have a process.
All right. Council approved a site plan and dimensional flexibility. This is for a retail center, 2825 Coon Rapids Boulevard. This is the old BP station site.
Or for some of us that have been around for a while, the old Louis Standard. It was Louis Standard, and then it became Amico, and Bob Ring bought it, and then Bob Ring added the garage out behind and kind of did some other changes. But it's been BP for a number of years, and it's for the most of the time it hasn't been opened.
I was going to say it's been off and on BP, right?
Right. Well, off and on BP. Well, right, because if you're closed more than 6 months, the tanks have to be pulled out of the ground. So about every 6 months or so, they would open. Oh, they're open again, and then they would close again.
Okay.
And then finally it was just closed, and so now it's going to be completely cleared. The tanks, everything removed, any soil abatement done, and then they're going to put in this little strip center.
All right. And there's, I believe, 5 retail spaces that will be for lease. So that will be done there. We also have another project that was approved further down the boulevard. This was a site plan and dimensional flexibility for Sweet Senior Living at 96th and Norway. This is pretty much near Foley and Coon Rapids Boulevard.
Right, and Norway is that brand new street that you see when you're going east on Coon Rapids Boulevard. You go over the tracks, you start coming down, heading towards Foley, and on the right side you'll see that brand new street in there that cuts through the woods that was never there before. And then this is going to be right on the east side of that intersection. This is phase 1. I thought it was like 36 units or something. And then we did a lot split as part of this. And there'll be a phase 2, I think another 40 units or something. It's a very nice looking building, very nice looking operation, and it'll be a nice fit for Coon Rapids.
Yeah, and it sounds like these facilities are still in demand for with our aging population. So, okay, look for that. Council approved a preliminary and final plat that was also for Sweet Senior Living. So same project we're talking about there. Okay, joint powers agreement we want to talk about now that was approved. This is for the Anoka County SWAT team, and Coon Rapids is actually joining this team.
Correct. So Anoka County has had the SWAT team, so that if we ever needed that, we would go to Anoka County. And now with Sheriff Wise up there, he's kind of reconfiguring it, and he's bringing in 7 of the 22 communities in Anoka County have their own police department, and he's bringing them in as cooperation. So we've got up to 2 officers from our department that will go in there. I think we fund them up to like $3,500 each for their gear. And it's a lot of additional training they'll get that they'll be able to bring back. Our police officers are amazing. They're not only they're police officers, they're like teachers, or like social workers, or like all these things.
Right.
And so they'll get that education. They'll come back and they'll share it with the other officers. But yeah, it's a joint powers agreement for all of the communities in Anoka County. And like I say, the 7 with police departments will have our own officers on that SWAT team.
Okay.
And it's just
so they'd be called out to calls when the SWAT team goes out. We have 2 members that are basically a part of that team.
Right. If they're all on call. And there's always going to be a time when they're not going to be able to show up, but they'll have enough to call that they'll get their team. And whether they're working, whether they're on staff in Coon Rapids or whether they're off duty, they'll still get that call and to go in.
Okay. All right. It'll be interesting to see how that works as well. All right. That's all we had for the items we want to talk about there. 2 construction projects I want to mention quickly. The Highway 10 third lane project, that funding's been approved. That's actually going to start maybe as early as next summer or fall construction and go into 25. But there are some noise walls that are being proposed as part of that, correct?
Correct. Right. And so if you are close enough where you received a card to vote, and I don't remember the date the cards had to be in, but make sure you vote. Make sure you have voted. Because if they don't get at least, I thought it was 50% of the cards in the first vote, then they have to run it again, because they really want to know what people want. Do you want the sound wall or not? And what I like about these sound walls is they're much nicer than the old ones. They used to put up the cement posts with the wood in between, and within a few years the paint's peeling off. These are all very nice. They're attractive. They're cement, but they've got the molded rock look, and they'll be nice.
All right, so voting, we might know by January whether or not there's 4 different noise walls that are proposed as part of this. So 1 could be built, 2 could be built, none could be built. It all depends on the voting, which is sort of regulated by a federal process, correct?
Right, and the city actually has some votes, not a disproportionate number of votes, but because we own property along there, we have votes. And the council workshopped it, and the consensus was that we support the sound walls. And that was really because that was what we were hearing from our residents too. I checked with the Townhome Association, and yes, we want the wall. Okay, good.
All right. And then 610 Easter Road is the other project, still trying to secure funding for that. They did just do a little bit of a redesign recently on the southwest portion of that.
Right. Yeah, they actually moved a little south to change the lineup for the entrance to go east. But yeah, Coon Rapids, when 610 opened here, 610 only went west, so we never had an eastward connection other than getting onto Highway 10, and so anyway, this will be our east and west connection.
All right, so look for more on that. There's still, I feel like we've had a number of open houses on this, but they still need to secure the funding to move forward with that project. All right, we are quickly running out of time, but wanted to mention Snowflake Days is kind of our next event coming into January here. That starts January 27th, runs through February 11th. There's a lot of events going to be going on with that. A
lot of events going on, including a comedy show, including that we're bringing back the chili competition. This year, our Miss Coon Rapids pageant, they're adding a Miss Anoka County, which will be a closed crown, which will be just for women in Anoka County. We're gonna have an ice bar again. And the ice bar will be at Chanticleer Pizza Grill over there, and I think they're gonna sponsor the ice bar, and that will be unveiled on January 27th.
Hopefully we have cooler temperatures by then.
Hopefully it'll be, we want to bring an ice pack in to keep her cold.
Something. All right. So we are quickly out of time, but January 27th through February 11th, this is actually the 60th annual event. You can find more in the city's winter newsletter. Got it here. There's a lot in here. This will be mailed out the beginning of January, so watch for it. It lists all the events, plus a lot of the stuff we've talked about. Good source of information.
Always. Hang on. Yep. go through there page by page with your calendar.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you at home for watching. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll see you back here again in 2024.